Before I get on out of here, I had to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves Caitlin Clark.
In today's world of viral sports media, few stories have sparked as much fascination, conjecture, and outright hysteria as the purported billion-dollar arrangement involving Michael Jordan, Caitlin Clark, and her teammate Sophie Cunningham. It all began as soft murmurs in elite sports circles, discreet discussions in boardrooms, subtle clues dropped by insiders, and loaded looks shared between executives, eventually erupting across social media like a cultural supernova. The frenzy was fueled further by cryptic commentary from ESPN's Stephen A. Smith and rampant speculation over endorsement deals that could reshape not only women's basketball, but also the global approach to valuing, compensating, and marketing female athletes. The story contained all the elements modern sports narratives crave: a generational talent, an iconic legend's involvement, enormous financial stakes, and just enough ambiguity to let imaginations run wild. Across platforms, theories, breakdowns, and heated takes multiplied as fans, analysts, and casual observers attempted to decode what was really happening behind the tightly guarded doors of sports marketing's most exclusive rooms. Yet, as is often the case with viral sports stories that capture widespread attention and refuse to fade, the reality is far more nuanced and, arguably, far more consequential than the clickbait headlines and sensational social media posts would suggest. The essential narrative isn't about a single transaction or a colossal check being issued. It's about the broader transformation of an entire industry and the rise of an athlete combining rare talent, charisma, marketability, and impeccable timing to redefine everything we thought we knew about women's sports. Stephen A. Smith's involvement in this saga is impossible to overstate, dismiss, or isolate from the larger narrative that has unfolded over the past year. In the months leading up to Caitlin Clark's professional debut, the outspoken analyst, celebrated for his bombastic style, unapologetic opinions, and uncanny influence over sports media discourse, positioned himself as her most vocal supporter on mainstream sports platforms. He dedicated entire segments, portions of commentary, and significant personal credibility to presenting Clark as more than simply another skilled basketball player entering the professional ranks. His commentary extended well beyond typical analysis, transcending surface-level observations about stats, playing style, and draft projections that often accompany rookie discussions. Smith depicted Clark as a transformative figure, capable of revolutionizing women's basketball, prompting institutional reform across the league, and challenging long-standing assumptions about how women's sports are covered, marketed, and monetized in the United States. He was not merely predicting success. He was foretelling a seismic structural shift in the sporting landscape. His certainty and consistent advocacy suggested knowledge beyond public awareness. Smith's assertions were bold, precise, and remarkably prescient, as increasingly revealed over time. He labeled Clark the future superstar of women's basketball even while she was still in college, before facing professional-level competition, and before the full extent of her commercial potential had been unveiled. He emphasized her singular appeal in an era when women's sports struggle for equitable coverage, fair compensation, and mainstream recognition translating to real economic influence. Smith spoke passionately of her ability to amplify underrepresented voices, to embody millions of young women and girls, and to force overdue conversations about gender equity in sports. He forecasted that her emergence would drive the WNBA to finally address long-standing demands for improved player conditions, facilities, and treatment. To careful observers, Smith wasn't merely offering provocative hot takes designed for clicks. He was planting breadcrumbs, signaling to those attuned to subtleties that an unprecedented event was on the horizon, validating his seemingly extreme predictions. His repeated, almost prophetic endorsements of Clark's commercial potential implied insider awareness of confidential negotiations, discussions with agents, executives, and brand representatives positioning her as the centerpiece of a transformative marketing initiative for women's basketball. When he referenced a forthcoming financial surge, employing phrasing typically reserved for male superstars like LeBron James or Patrick Mahomes, He signaled that something unprecedented in women's sports endorsements was underway. Observers, analysts, and fans have interpreted this as the confirmation fueling viral speculation about billion-dollar deals and clandestine agreements. Not a direct leak of a contract or confidential terms, but a prominent media figure leveraging his authority to hint at the magnitude of developments in real time. Smith anticipated the storm before anyone else, recognizing the convergence of talent, timing, and cultural context that could elevate Clark beyond a merely exceptional athlete. He staked his reputation on being validated. As the story unfolded, Smith's early championing appeared less as hype and more as informed insight, rooted in deep connections to sports media and marketing machinery. The Michael Jordan angle is largely symbolic rather than strictly financial. Citing Jordan's involvement intensified the story, transforming it from a profile of a rising star into something nearly mythic. A billion-dollar association with the greatest basketball player ever? Jordan, a global icon with a brand empire generating billions long after retiring, made the narrative irresistible, akin to a Hollywood sports film featuring mentorship, legacy, generational shifts, and a ceremonial passing of the torch. The notion of Jordan personally orchestrating a massive deal for a young woman entering the professional arena was compelling, even if the actual financial specifics were more nuanced. The connection, while significant, is subtle and indirect, more symbolic than a personal monetary intervention. Nike's Jordan brand, a crown jewel of the parent company, represents the pinnacle of basketball endorsements and a benchmark for aspirational athletes. Though Nike signed Clark under the parent company rather than Jordan Brand directly, it reflects strategic branding, building Clark's image independently while honoring Jordan's legacy, and recognizing women's basketball as a unique market segment requiring distinct positioning. Nike's aggressive pursuit, outbidding competitors and offering terms breaking prior women's basketball sponsorship records, demonstrates their confidence in Clark as a generational talent. One partnership does concretely connect Clark to Jordan's legacy.